Welcome to TAVIE in Motion. My name is Diane. I am a retired nurse and I will be guiding you through this session. Do you live alone? Well, you're not alone. Living solo is a growing trend across Canada, and Quebec leads the pack in this regard. Various factors can account for this rise in solo living. These include couple instability, unions being formed later than before, changes in family composition and family place of residence, and social and cultural factors. The aging of population has contributed to the trend as well. Some people live alone by choice. They want to remain single and do not want children. For others, however, it is something born of specific circumstances. These include the failure to find a soulmate, divorce, death, and work in a remote region. Other people still end up living alone after leaving their homeland or after family members move out of the family home. Over the course of this session, I will present strategies to help you improve your quality of life while living solo with Parkinson's. The words living alone, social isolation, and loneliness are often seen as synonyms. While these notions are connected, it is important to differentiate them to better understand what they mean. Living alone implies being the sole occupant of a home or the only member of a household with one roommate or more. Social isolation, instead, refers to situations where a person has very few contacts with others and has little or no support around them. Loneliness, for its part, corresponds to the fact of being alone and feeling sad about it. This said, loneliness should not be confused with solitude. Solitude is when you enjoy being alone to self-reflect and meet your needs. However, loneliness and solitude are related and can overlap. They evolve throughout life and even from day to day. Consequently, they afford many possible scenarios. Here are 4 examples as reported by Diana, Andrew, Leo, and Rose.
2 years ago, I lost my spouse. But I'm well surrounded by my children and my friends. Despite Parkinson's, I consider myself to be in pretty good shape. I do what I want, when I want. I keep busy. I do volunteer work, I do aqua fitness, and I walk every day. It's also good for my morale, and I feel useful.
After my divorce, I took early retirement because of Parkinson's. My children live in other regions on account of their work, but fortunately, thanks to the internet, we talk a lot. I recently discovered a passion for genealogy, and I find the days fly by so fast. I wouldn't have thought so before retiring.
In my country, we live in a large community. Same thing here. Even if I live alone in my apartment, there's always someone over, and there's always something to be done for my parents. Since my Parkinson's medication was last adjusted, I've been spaced out. I can't stop thinking. I feel all alone, even with people around.
I lived in the same apartment for so many years. The place is full of memories. It would sadden me to leave, but what's keeping me here? All my friends are now in nursing homes. If you don't drive, going to see them is not easy. We hardly see each other anymore. If something happened to me, I really don't know who I could count on.
Do you recognize yourself in any of these situations? Let's see now what the consequences of isolation and loneliness can be, particularly for someone living alone with Parkinson's. Social isolation and loneliness can have negative consequences for health and Parkinson's. According to numerous studies, heart disease, malnutrition, bone fractures from falls, cognitive disorders, and premature death are more prevalent among persons suffering from loneliness and isolation. These people tend to see doctors and visit emergency services more often than other people do. They also tend to be admitted to hospital for longer stays and more often than others. In the general population, the effects of isolation and loneliness surpass those related to tobacco consumption, alcohol, and obesity. It's huge. Social isolation and loneliness may predispose to the onset of Parkinson's and have more of an impact on quality of life than tremors do. Among persons diagnosed with Parkinson's, social isolation and loneliness have consequences comparable to a domino effect. Let's take a closer look at what I mean by that. A study conducted by a neurologist showed that isolation and loneliness affect people's nervous system by triggering a release of cortisol, the stress hormone, followed by neuroinflammatory activity and a poor immune system response. Isolation and loneliness are also associated with increased sleep disorders, motor and non-motor symptoms, apathy, anxiety, depression, and with decreased interest in communicating with others and seeking support, plus decreased ability to do so. All these elements aggravate isolation and loneliness as much as do the signs of Parkinson's. But who is at higher risk for isolation and loneliness? The chief risk factors include deteriorated health, diminished mobility, and financial fragility. Let's listen to what Andrew, Leo, and Rosa had to say about this.
I caught the flu last winter and it lasted weeks. I just couldn't stop coughing. Didn't do my Parkinson's any good. I had trouble talking and making myself understood. I felt so alone, and all of a sudden, it was hard to take.
The last time The last time we adjusted my Parkinson's medication, I had all sorts of side effects. I felt dizzy when I stood up. One evening, I fell. And after that, I was afraid it would happen again. While I waited for my new neurologist to do something about it, I didn't drive my car. I felt confined. I couldn't go where I needed to go, and I couldn't take care of my parents.
When you live alone and you've got Parkinson's and you're an elderly woman and an immigrant, you check off a lot of boxes and you have a hard time making ends meet. There no longer seems to be a place in the sun for us.
Consequently, the presence of one or more of these factors increases the risk for isolation and loneliness among persons who experience them. However, regardless of your life situation, there are protective factors that can counteract these harmful effects. Various organizations that defend the rights of people living with Parkinson's have explored the protective factors related to social isolation and loneliness. Here is a quick look at what they found, as told through the experiences of Diana, Andrew, Leo, and Rosa.
After my husband passed away, I was in a muddle. One morning, after I'd cried myself out, I said to myself, "You can't just keep moping and hiding away like this. Look around. Everyone's worried about you." I had to rebuild some bridges to pull myself out of it. I looked up a friend I'd lost touch with, and then another. Wanting to catch up was my way of breaking the ice, and then we started seeing each other again. It did me a world of good. With my children, I was very clear. I'm still able to live alone and to decide for myself. I treat them the way I want to be treated, with respect. When I need help, I ask for it. And when I can do them a favor, I do it. We all need a care partner sooner or later.
What saves me from loneliness and isolation is having met people who have the same passion as me and who share my experience with Parkinson's. When I first got interested in genealogy, I asked some people with experience for advice, and one of them I've become friends with. If I managed to do that for a hobby, I can also do it to make my life easier. So, I called the Parkinson Québec's helpline. I'm now part of a support group in my region. The lot of us understand one another and we help each other out.
If you really think about it, being part of a community, it's reassuring and it gives you the chance to have some fun. So now I go out with friends every first Friday of the month for a supper organized by our community center. We also carpool. It helps me out because with Parkinson's, I don't drive after dark anymore.
After I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, I thought long and hard about it, and I adopted a rescue dog. He's really spunky. What it gives me is a routine. It's forced me to go to the park and to talk with other dog owners. Some have even offered to take care of my dog if ever I need it. That's priceless. My dog is keeping me fit both physically and mentally.
Let's stay connected. This is the key message that emerges from these narratives. For your part, what factors help you protect your quality of life? I invite you to draw a picture of your support network, what is referred to as an Ecomap. This tool gives you a good overview of the people around you. Are these people you could contact in the event you become lonely or isolated? Are there any new people who would be useful to contact? The Ecomap helps to formulate your support needs and requests for help when the time comes. To take stock of your situation in this regard, check out and print, if need be, the fact sheet, My Ecomap. People with Parkinson's who live alone were surveyed. Here are their priorities for remaining socially engaged. The activities at the top of the list are the following. Enjoy life one day at a time. Make way for contemplation and spontaneity. If I receive an invitation, I accept it. If I feel like seeing someone, I call them up and propose doing something together. Go outdoors and exercise with a group at my pace and within my limits. It's possible. I find a place that's accessible and I pick activities, clothing, and equipment that suit me. Take care of myself while acknowledging the stress in me. By managing my stress as it arises, it forces me out of my cocoon. It alleviates my Parkinson's symptoms, and it allows me to have a good time. I invite you to identify your priorities and what it is that makes you happy. What's important to you? Are there people who support you? If you had to pick one activity and one person, what and who would it be? What benefits would you get from doing that activity with that person? How and when might you do that? Keep in mind also examples of inspirational people in your social circle. It can help you take action. In this regard, check out and print, if need be, the fact sheet, My Priorities. There are other useful strategies for living alone. As the old saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In other words, it is easier to deal with situations by stopping and correcting them in the first place than having to deal with a problem once it is established. This is particularly true regarding stress, fatigue, sleep, and lifestyle habits. The psychiatrist Christophe André and public health organizations have highlighted the benefits of calm and energy in improving well-being. The key is to learn how to relax better while being ready to spring into action. How can you make more room for relaxing and energizing activities in your schedule? Let's see how Diana, Andrew, Leo, and Rosa have managed in this regard.
If I want to keep doing volunteer work and my activities, I have to find a way to stay as fit as possible. For me, it starts with eating right. In order to make the most of my energy, I freeze wholesome, ready-to-eat meals that I buy at the supermarket and from different caterers.
When I don't sleep well, nothing works right. I get stressed out and my symptoms flare up. To stay awake during the day and to not end up isolated, I watched a lecture on sleep. The Parkinson's Info Guide has material on it too. I learned some new things and a few good tricks, like how to relax at night and what temperature to keep my bedroom at. Relaxation is now part of my routine at night and whenever I feel the tension growing.
I've been looking after my parents for a few years now. In order for them to remain in their apartment, we bought some equipment and made adaptations to certain rooms, like the occupational therapists recommended. At first, my dad did not want any of it. He thought it was a waste of money and did not see how it would allow them to save energy every day for many years to come. I'm still young, but I realize that with Parkinson's, I too could benefit from adaptations of the sort. So I decided to make changes in my apartment in order to remain independent a long time.
I met someone else with Parkinson's who lived on their own. She told me about things she'd explored with a social worker from the Community Local Services Center. A tax credit and a shelter allowance. For later on, she told me that there were paratransit and accompaniment services for medical appointment, as well as interpreters, if needed. I looked into these things myself. I'm now involved in a project in my neighborhood. Next time I see the social worker, we're supposed to talk about who could act as a care partner for me and speak on my behalf in the future.
I encourage you to keep an eye out for situations that could pull you back into loneliness and isolation. Take a look at your risk factors on a regular basis. They can shift over time. Catch these warning signs early on. Talk to your doctor and other health professionals about these signs, and remind them that you live alone. If you are subject to loneliness and social isolation, mention this to them as well. All these elements are important when you discuss what the best solutions to consider together might be. There is a wide array of complementary resources available to help you. It is best to turn to them early on because some requests and applications take time to process before you can obtain the support you need. To find out more, check out the Resource Guide for People Living Alone, which covers various topics relevant to your situation. I hope this session allowed you to broaden your horizon regarding the experience of living alone with Parkinson's. There are 4 key points I would like you to take away from this session. Living alone is on the rise and can apply to anyone. Social isolation and loneliness have a domino effect on your health and on the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. There are risk and protective factors to be examined carefully to gain a better gauge of your challenges and to identify who your allies are. And finally, a variety of strategies have proven useful in meeting your specific support needs. After viewing this session, I invite you to take a look at your situation and then to take a step back. You will thus be in a better position to determine what your priorities are. How do you wish to proceed? What means do you think have a better chance of success? This approach and the suggested fact sheets will enable you to take action. Do not hesitate to share your concerns and preferences with people you trust, including your doctor and health professionals. This way, everyone will be prepared to be by your side as you navigate your life course.